Lawrence W. Moore, and welcome to Lesson 16, the concluding episode of Learning Synthesis with Pure Data Series 1. We're going to be concluding Series 1 now, and I'm going to be introducing to you what we're doing in Series 2 that will be coming up very shortly. In Series 1, we built this modular synthesizer, the FAM2. There's a couple of bug fixes I want to show you, and then I'm going to introduce to you what we're doing in Series 2, which is LWM Rack. It's a much more open modular system that allows you to drop in modules just about wherever you want and then save it, and you save your whole patch together. It's convenient for those who want to be able to design their own synthesizers, not just design their own sounds. So anyway, join me and Crafty as we take a look at the end of Series 1 and embark on Series 2. Alrighty then, so keeping with tradition, I'm starting off at my website. As many of you know, the website has changed designs. I had some problems with some malware that got into my website, and the hosting service notified me of it, so I cleared things out, and when I did, I realized I needed to kind of start over again because I wasn't keeping regular backups. But I used that opportunity to make things better. So anyway, if you go straight to LWMmusic.com now, you get this intro page, and just click the cyborg face or hit enter site, and you get to the site. And depending on when you come, there may be a different latest post, but basically the pages are similar to before. Learning is where you find learning synthesis with pure data. Right now, if you click on this, you get the general overview of learning synthesis with pure data and Series 1. There will soon be a Series 2 section here, actually beginning this week, because I am going to start Series 2 this week. That's why I'm finalizing Series 1. And if you go here to the Series 1 menu or click on Series 1 here, the image or the link, you get to the Series 1 page. Here's where I have all the lessons and downloads. I'm going to be putting this lesson up here at the top. I guess it'll be officially Lesson 16. Finalizing Series 1 and previewing Series 2. And so that's what we're going to be doing right now. The Series 2 videos will just be popping up on a second page that will be right below this one. See? Okay, it makes sense, doesn't it? Alright, and then of course there's my Sunday night synthesis series. I completed 12 episodes in Series 1, and I've decided I'm going to stick with the 12 episode thing. Even though this is Lesson 16, there are actually going to be, with the completion of this one, 12 lessons. Well, I mean, not 12 lessons, but 12 actual videos, because 2 of them combine lessons into one video here. So in any case, I'm just sticking with the number 12, trying to keep a consistent number of video embeds in the same page and not going over that, so the pages load quicker and stuff. Incidentally, if you are new to this and you're just seeing this video on YouTube, the YouTube channel is youtube.com/LWM Music, 2 M's in that, and here's the YouTube channel. So right now, at the top, these are the uploads. This will appear as the most recent upload. And then Learning Synthesis with Pure Data Series 1 is in order from beginning to end. If you haven't seen earlier videos, you probably should. I'm going to be showing you the end result. These 3 are introductory videos about PD and digital audio concepts, as well as digital synthesis concepts. And then beginning here with Lesson 4, we start building the synthesizer that I'm going to show you in a moment. I will also be uploading this synthesizer with a short video showing how to use it here in my Pure Data Patches series for anyone that just comes to the channel later and wants to check out the software. And of course, anyone that wants to learn how to build it, that's all through this series 1, which we're ending now. Also in this video, I'll show you where we're going in series 2. So anyway, let's get to it. So I'm going to put the web browser down, and if you download the package with this video on my website, there will be a download link right below the video, and you unzip the file, this is what you get. Well, actually you get a folder right here, LWM FAM2 synthesizer, and here are the files in that folder. What you want to open the synthesizer is the modules patch right here. Oh, that's mixer. This is modules. So you double click this and open it. I already did, so I'm just going to go right here to it. It'll open up in PD. Hopefully you have that installed. If you're not sure about PD, you need to be beginning with Series 1, Lesson 1. Okay, so those of you who have been following the series and stuff, you already kind of know we completed building the synthesizer, but I wanted to let you know that I did fix a bug. The index slider on the FM oscillator was returning to 0 after saves no matter what. There was just a typo in the sends and receives to the saving module, and so I fixed that. So now, as far as I know, everything else is working, and I've had 2 classes worth of students that take my Synthesis and Sound Design 2 course, and nobody's found any other bugs except for that one, and that's now fixed. So download this new zip file and you can start using it, and you would even be able to load up any patches that you made before and save the file here. They'll still work. They'll actually completely work now if you had an index setting here for your FM oscillator. But anyway, for those of you who are still a little new, this is what you learn how to build. You know, and that's just its default sound, but it has the ability for you to change all sorts of things. Your waveforms here, you can put that one on a square, this one on a saw. Oscillators have detuning capabilities. You can also do some panning and volume controls of your different oscillators. Like here, I'll have the one go a little left, the other one go a little right. So you get some nice stereo sound. This is a readout of your MIDI input coming in. It does respond to pitch bend. And you can in fact here set the interval that you want it to go. For example, if I want it to just go up and down a fifth, I gotta be a little quicker. Click there in the number box, type 7, which is a perfect fifth in semitones, 7 semitones. Now it goes up and down a fifth. And you see the pitch bend here respond to that. It does respond to mod wheel, but you tell it what responds to mod wheel. For example, I have a square wave here. I can have its pulse width respond to mod wheel by checking off the M here, and you see this pulse width modulation will now change. On my keyboard I need to turn off the auto map feature. I have a Novation SL Mark II, and for some reason with the auto map on, it doesn't respond to the mod wheel. But it does when I turn it off. If you have another controller, you probably won't have any issue with that. And we have AM and FM modulation here. If I, for example, want to keep this on a fairly square wave, I'll put that somewhere in the middle there. And if I want to, for example, have the mod wheel control vibrato or something, I just put a little frequency here, fairly slow, and then this is the index or amount. Ooh, yeah. Hold on here. You hear the right channel kind of going up and down there? There we go. There, I hit the note again, and now it's doing less because I turned the index down. If any of this is kind of confusing to you, you need to start with lesson 1. Okay. And then turn on the mod wheel, and of course, now that controls the index. And it's still controlling the pulse width modulation because I never turned that off. Put that back on there. So there we go. Now it's just controlling the vibrato. There we go. So anyway, put it up a little. Yeah, whenever you do these adjustments, when you hit the next note, that's when it responds. It'd be nice to improve that a little bit. And I think I just might. So that way the vibrato changes while you move the mod wheel and sustain a note. But in any case, you have filters on this too. Let's filter the sawtooth. Oh, I'm filtering the square. The way it works is this is your one signal chain, oscillator, amplitude modulation, filter, and then your envelope for the whole signal chain. And then here you have the filter and envelope for this second signal chain here. So that's how that works. And then you have signal chain 1 and 2 here, pan and volumes that you can control here. So anyway, I'm going to make a detailed how to use this synthesizer video for my Pure Data Patches series. And that way, as people download it and just want to use it, they can just use it as a virtual synth and it'll be great. For those of you using PD, you probably are aware you need to go to Media menu, MIDI settings, and make sure your controller is set. And if you want to use like an external DAW, for example, if I click on my, the cursor turns into a line, and it's hard to see when I click over it here. Hold on just a second here. I'm trying to click on this. Why is it not doing that? Oh, here it is. I don't know what was going on before. Alright, so anyway, when I click on this, you see I have a number of MIDI options here. If you set up something like Loop MIDI by Tobias Eriksson, it's a free download. I'll include a link at the bottom of this video to his website. You install that and you can set up virtual MIDI ports like this where I could receive from my DAW. If in my DAW I set up the output port, Loop MIDI port 1, and I make it the input port here, I would be controlling it from my DAW. So that's how you can use this as an external virtual synth. And I'm going to go back to my keyboard though. Yes, there we go. Good, still controlling it. And, if you like the sounds that you make, you hit the save button. And right now it opened up in my other display. So let me bring it over. Oh, at least I thought it did. It opens up a browser window so that you can save. And it didn't. Hold on a second here. I'm working with a 2-display system and it's throwing me off sometimes. Let's see, save. And now let me go to the other display and see if I find it. There it is. Sorry, I'm working with 2 displays, and what you see is on the second display. So I had to bring this over. Okay, so anyway, this is what you get, and of course you could type in a name. What you're saving really is a text file, so you can type txt at the end or not. It's up to you. What do I want to call this? I like to do 3 numbers 006 dash. That way they appear in order. I'll call this Little Buzz. I don't know. What the heck? It's not important enough that I'm not going to include it in the download. But in any case, as you see, it saved it right here. And if I would have put the .txt at the end, it would have the icon of a text file. It doesn't matter if you do that or not, because whenever you want to open one, move this out of the way and hit the open window. Let me guess, it's going to appear in the other display again. Yes, it is. All right. So let me go get that open window and pull it over so you can see it. Here we go. That's what opened up in the other display. That's the open window, and here I can select any of these and they'll load in. Chorus saw, for example. And then that's that sound. If I want to open another, oh, it opened in the other display again. Well, you saw the window before, so you don't need to see it again. I'm just going to open up the sound at the top of that list called square bass. It's kind of like a bass sound based on square wave. I just opened it up. It's the top one in this list. And there we go. So you can open and save all the things that you make. And if you number them like I do, they can appear in a file list order, and that way if you want to organize them by type, 1 through 10 basses, 11 through 20 leads or whatever, you can do that. So anyway, we're basically going to say goodbye to the FAM2 synthesizer for now. And we're going to move into something that's a little bit more open modular. This is modular in that you have all these different modules that do things. But if you want to make a new module for it, and you want to be able to say patches, let me show you here. I just opened a sub patch so you could see things underneath the hood, so to speak. And it went to my other display again. So I bring it over here. And you see all these modules are chained together. MIDI is going into the left inlets, audio is going through the middle inlets and outlets, and the right inlets and outlets are sending and receiving to this module here, which allows you to save and open files. You'll see that in a moment. This guy, nice and big. So The thing is, in this system, if you want to add modules to it and be able to save parameters, you'll have to change this and maybe add like all sorts of new patch cables and packed messages so that you can add that module to the list of things being saved. And then if you add it to the end, it'll still be, I guess, compatible with patch files that you saved before. Although, you open this up, it'll all be zeros because these are just text files. I just double clicked one, and so that opened up in Notepad or some sort of text file editor. And as you see, it's just a list of the numbers being saved there. So it's a list of the numbers in order of parameter and in order of module. Like you see behind here, all these patch cables are delivering a different number parameter, and each one of these sends and packed messages here basically are delivering the numbers and the parameter values from each module, and they're all hooked up to this module in order to inlets on the top of it. So it's hard to expand on it. Basically, it's complete in and of itself. I could add other modules to it, but then I have to edit this, and building and changing it would be like releasing a different or upgraded piece of software, which is just fine in some ways, but I wanted to build something that's more open-ended. So let me do this. I'm going to close this, and show you what I've been developing. This series has been on hold for a number of months, and that's partially because I kind of switched to doing some outboard gear and some lessons, as well as mostly playing and showing some of my synth modules in Sunday Night Synthesis, but also I've been developing. And I'm just going to give you a taste of what I've been developing. And in Series 2, which will be released this week with the first lesson in it, we will see what I've been developing. So, in more detail, because I'm going to release it a couple modules at a time. It's a modular system that I call LWM Rack. And as you see, it has a folder where right now I just have a file named patch and a folder named rack. And inside the rack folder, there's a bunch of folders and a bunch of abstractions that would get loaded into a patch file that you save on the outside. Now, this is where I build the patches, and so you're just going to see a list of them. I didn't make a synth or anything here. And so, let me get it from the other display. PD likes to keep opening things in the other display. Here we go. So this is what I've been building. And as you can see, yes, it is something that took me a while. These are a list of modules that are part of this LWM Rack system I've been developing. And basically what we have here, for example, is a MIDI module. And next to it, it's patch bay. Most of the complex modules have a separate patch bay. The reason why I have this is, for example, if we want to hook up the frequency out from the MIDI module to like the frequency in of a VCO, which I have down here, you could connect it like that. If you want to connect the gate from this to the gate in here, for example, you can do that. Actually, it's been a bit since I've worked on it, to be honest with you, so I'm forgetting which thing I need to hit. Like, there's a number of inputs here, and you patch from one module to another through their patch bays. And what that allows you to do is keep your patch cables to the side. Because normally when you make an abstraction in PD, which is a subpatch saved a file, you have inlets and outlets on the top and the bottom of it. And then when you patch things together, you get crisscrossing. That's why in the FAM2 synthesizer, I made a subpatch so that on the outside it would hide patch cables, and you can get a clear view of all your controls. But in this system, what I decided to do was have a side patch bay for each module that has lots of ins and outs. So that way you can patch from these patch bays one to another, and it keeps your controls clear. There are inlets and outlets on the modules, but they tend to be just two or very few. Like the MIDI modules, which are color-coded blue, these guys here, have like frequency outlets and inlets. Not frequency. What do you call that? Channel. So that way, as you change the channel on one, it'll change the channel on the other. I'm disconnecting them because I don't want them to actually be connected. This is just a list, but I'm showing you how it works, so that's the way it goes. And of course, the right inlet and outlet of each module connects up to the patch bay, so that's how this information that you patch here gets over to your module. Now, what's good about this system is, since I'm in a patch file right now, anything I patch together, when I hit save or go to the file menu and save, it saves my patching because it's a pure data patch file. So anything you connect up, you can connect your modules in different orders, and you can save it, and it saves with this file. So you get instant recall that way. Now what about your parameters and stuff that you set in these modules? That saves too. You see how they have this little dark rectangle in each of them with a name in it? When you make one of these modules, like you make an object, type in a name. For example, I can put in the file name since I remember it. It's in the Rack folder, MIDI in mono MIDI in, sorry. Rack folder, mono MIDI in, and then I type hyphen module because I'm loading the module, not the patch bay. And afterwards, I need to type a name. For example, the one I have here is named MIDI in A. Let's call this one MIDI in B. It did not light up. That means I had a typo in the file name. Rack/mono MIDI in module. Mono MIDI basic. Gotta get the file names right. That's okay. We can do it. Let's do it. Come on, I'm trying to type here. There you go. Get in there before the hyphen. MIDI in underscore basic. There we go. And so we get this one. It puts its name there. Then I'll show you beneath the surface what's going on. In the Rack folder, in the MIDI in basic folder, mono MIDI in basic. You see now there's two text files here, MIDI in basic A, or MIDI in A, and MIDI in B. MIDI in A will save all the parameters for this module. MIDI in B will save all the parameters for this module. And they do it as you change parameters. These MIDI modules even save like mod wheel movements. So if you move your mod wheel, it'll save it right away. And so MIDI and B now has those changed parameters and everything. So basically, by using this system, I'm going to get rid of this because I don't need it. And I'm going to get rid of the file because I don't need it. Just trying to show you. I can open the text file for MIDI in A. Oh good, it opened up in this display. Thank you. Thank you for a slight little bit of convenience there. I'm not able to move it. Oh, there we go, finally. Alright, so you see here are the parameters saved. Basically, in the next video, the first video of Series 2 of Learning Synthesis with Pure Data, I'm going to show you basically how to do that. We'll start from scratch with like an empty patch file, put in a couple modules, hook them up, save it, open it up again, and basically what it allows you to do is put in modules and patch them together, change parameters, just hit save here, and then all your parameters are automatically saved here, and they load when you open this patch file again. So you don't even need to type in file names. You only need to type in the abstraction name, the file name of the PD module when you first make it. From that point on, it takes care of saving its parameters, opening its parameters, and you don't have to type in file names again. And basically you could save it all with the patch. When you hit file and save up here, it's all done for you. And so that way you can make an open-ended modular system, save what you got, and then when you want to make another one, you just go into another folder, put these things in, and set them up differently. And you know, each PD patch, like this patch file that I'm in right now, will contain all your patch settings, and then all your folders here in the rack folder will contain all your parameter settings for each module that you make. And basically just open it up each time, so that way you can rebuild different synthesizers with different modules. You can have more than one of the same module, which is why they have names that you put in for them. So that way I could have 2 MIDI inputs on different channels, for example, and all their parameters will be kept separate. So far what I have made is a MIDI input module that you saw here, the basic MIDI inputs. It's got pitch bend, note, velocity, sustain. It has some on and off switch here for whether or not you want the pitch bend to be coming in or the sustain to be read by this module, because it has a feature where if you turn this on and you set your pitch bend amount, it'll actually output that with the frequency. Or if you want to use the pitch bend for other things or whatever, you just disengage that, and the pitch bend will come out as a MIDI signal, or the orange ones are ranges of 0 to 1, kind of like a CV signal. The yellow ones are trigger signals, like a sustain is a trigger signal because it's either on or off. So I have everything color coded. Let's see, you have expression and mod all built in the basic module. Then here, this is for like 8 MIDI controllers where you can set the controller number. And of course that saves with the patch. So you can design an instrument for using certain MIDI controllers, and then design one using different ones and bring in 8. And of course, if you have a controller keyboard with more than 8 sliders and knobs and stuff for controllers, you can use more than one of these and have inputs coming in from your controllers. These MIDI in modules here do receive MIDI input. You see I'm moving my pitch bend, and this is moving, and the mod wheel's moving. They receive MIDI in. This controller receives MIDI in. I don't know if I have my knobs set for the right controller numbers, though. No, I don't. So never mind. But since you can set numbers here, whatever your knobs are set for, you can change it here. Of course, on most MIDI controllers you can define what controller numbers your knobs and sliders are on, but you can also do it here if you find that to be quicker. So here it kind of lets you type in what MIDI controller number you want to receive on, and then this slider displays its range of 0 to 127. And then over here, this is just a different module if you want to do things a little bit differently. This lets you take the MIDI note and stuff in from this module, and then here you can set up things like chorusing, semitone, and sense distribution, and send that frequency out. For example, if you want to have different oscillators on different intervals, different octaves, or different sense for slight detuning for chorusing and everything, this allows you to do that. This will be your in-between that goes from the MIDI module to the VCO, for example. And here we go. Here's a VCO right here. I made a VCO so far. I've made, what's this, if I can read it. This is a modulating oscillator. So the reason why I have something set up like this is this one does both FM and AM, so you can use it both ways. And in the video, we'll see how that works. Like basically, you feed this into frequency, obviously, if you want it to be modulating frequency, and then you can have the VCO going into its amplitude input here and use it for AM synthesis and so forth, or tremolo, whatever. And then here we have, I made a VCF, velocity control, voltage control filter. Of course, there's no voltage, it's digital, but you know, that's just the terminology. So this lets you send in all sorts of parameters and send out all sorts of parameters. Really what I'm trying to do here is create something that's very Euro-Rack-like, except you don't have the patch cables connected into the module itself. You have a separate patch bay, because in PD, that's a better way of keeping things clear. And so that way your patch cables are out of the way and they don't cover up your controls. But this filter also has an oscillator on it, so you can oscillate the filter's cutoff and so forth, and it handles, I believe, yes, cutoff frequency, the Q, and then yeah. Oh, that's right, because I have in all these oscillators, I have a noise option. This is a noise focus slider. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff packed in here that I'm not even covering in this. Like each of these modules will probably take a lesson in and of themselves because I put a lot into them. Let's see, what do we have here? This is an ADSR. That's nice. Has a little display so you can see it enveloping your waveform as it goes through. And then here I have some other modules that don't have the patch bay attached because they only have one or two inlets on top, and you're probably not going to have crisscross patch cables over them. But basically I have like a combiner here. This takes two signals in, combines them into one, and you control the balance between the one and the other. This is I'm having trouble reading the small print here. Sorry about that. Panner. Yeah, okay, so what you got is an audio input, two outputs, so you can pan left, right, and then send that through your routing and so forth. This is, alright, this is a leveler. Yeah, this is in case you have like two signals, a left and a right signal. It allows you to control the levels of both and how much go to one side or the other. For example, left inlet, right inlet, and you can control how much goes out to left and right here. It's basically a stereo leveler, whereas, you know, here this is a combiner of two signals. This one is a leveler, so you could have two signals coming in and control their levels. You know, it's just almost like a mixer. It's really just a 2-channel mixer. And then here we have our audio ins and outs. They're both stereo, but of course you can use a mono by just using one side. This is your gain level in, your for the left and the right. And then you have a group switch here, so you can group them so that they move together. Shows you the signal coming in. And then here it receives input, so you can send gain controls from somewhere else using the 0 to 1 range, which is, I'm kind of calling like CV. It's virtual CV in this type of setup. And then here's the outlet, so you can send that signal into something. Right now, the main audio object that I have for doing that sort of thing is a sampler here. If you look at Sunday Night Synthesis, Series 1, the only series out at this point, Episode 11, I demonstrate this a little bit. I use 2 of these. And so this is a sampler and looper. Basically, you can record in something pretty much as long as you want. I guess as long as the memory, and disk space and stuff allows you to. But usually you'll be recording in fairly short things, or maybe a minute long, 2 minutes, whatever. And it'll loop. This one's a mono version. I'll make a stereo version before the end of this series, so that you can have like a 2-channel file loaded in. But this one is like a mono one where you can loop and you can scrub around to different points. You can change the playback speed. I basically call it a tape looper because it kind of works like a tape in that you can change its speed and rewind and move around. This is the audio output module. Like my other audio output and recording deck, you can record with this. When you hit the record, it opens a file browser and you can type in a file name. It'll record it to that file. Oh, actually, no, it doesn't. That's right. It's set up with the LWM Rack system. It'll record to a file in its folder that has the name that you gave to the module. So you don't have to worry about file names. It takes care of that for you. You just name the module. And so it has like a monitor level and what we call a to tape level. Basically, this is the level recorded to tape, and this is the level that you hear coming out, because it's basically also like your DAC, which that you would use at the end of your synthesizer if you're building a synth, or at the end of your sampler. The audio input pretty much right now gets used with the sampler, but these other audio objects, color-coded light red, can be used with the synth modules and stuff if you want to combine signals, pan signals, things like that. And of course, you could put in 2, 3, 4 VCOs, however many you want, however many filters you want, and however many modulating oscillators you want in different orders, and save it all in one patch file, and all your parameters get saved. It's just nice and convenient. It's open-ended, so basically you could develop new synthesizers and save what you do. And that's why I developed this whole thing, because it's, for me, something I wanted to do, to have a more open-ended modular system with the convenience of saving what you build, as well as the parameters that you have things set for. It's almost like you could consider these physical modules that you lay out, and you move the sliders around, and each time you move a slider, it saves it to file where it's positioned. And each module has a different name, so each file saves, what that module's parameters are. And the next time you open it, they're right where you left them, just like a physical piece of hardware. The slider's located where it was the last time you used it. And of course, since it's all in a PD patch file, the way you patch things together gets saved too. So you're basically building synthesizers with these. And so anyway, we'll get to see this stuff in action later on this week from the posting of this video. Should be in a day or two that I get the first one out. I'm going to start with just basics, like a MIDI and basic module, a VCO, the ADSR, and maybe the filter. And then, kind of explain the first few basic modules in detail, and then we'll add one at a time and see how each one works. And basically I'll set them up as downloads for each video. And since this thing could use some beta testing, I'll be using this series as like a beta test series, so that if there's any bugs or some things not working quite right by the end of the series, we'll have those all fixed up. And so if you develop things while going through the series also, you can leave comments for me under the videos or email me, and we could exchange links where I link to whatever you developed and you link back to LWM Rack on my website, so that that way we can mutually support the development that we're doing. And I guess that's about it. So it's stuff to look forward to, and I'll be seeing you shortly for Learning Synthesis with Pure Data Series 2. Okay, hold on a second. Alright. Crafty would like you to check out psycheopera.com. It's an opera company that's founded by my wife and myself. My wife's name is Liza Sahido, and she's been really the driving force behind this opera company. Our first performance will be in August, and leading up to that performance, she has some exciting things she's going to show you, like the construction of a MIDI glove she's working on, some Max MSP patches, and of course, let you know what's coming up in our opera performances. Psyche Opera is an electro-acoustic opera company that has multimedia, video, lighting, drama, stories. It has everything in it, and it's electronic, and it's for the modern age. I think you'd like to check it out and see what we're doing there, so please drop by if you can. The link's down below in the description.